Welcome back to the channel, everybody. I am Mick Alfany. Okay, so let's start here with a little bit of XRP news. Oh man, doesn't it feel good to know that the future is secure? I mean, if everything goes according to plan. Let's read this little retweet here. This is from Ripple, and it was a retweet of something that David Schwartz was saying, okay? So let's just read this little tidbit here, because it just tells you everything about why XRP is going to dominate. And I'm not, I hate to say going to, but when I say going to dominate, I'm talking about the future money, right? But right now, as far as expanding as a business, XRP is dominating already. Ripple is dominating already. Understand that the setups now equal money later. This is why you need to watch companies that you invest in. It doesn't matter if it's the crypto markets or stock markets, but watch how they're building today. It will tell you everything about the money that can come later. You also have to watch their leadership. Know the leadership, know the minds behind the company, behind the projects. If they're brilliant, then they stand a better chance at bringing in a lot of capital later. I say this all the time. It's just like recently, there was a bevy of stock market companies that I'm deep in, and we had to vote on who we wanted to lead the companies. Well, you got to do your research to find out who is who, because some of the individuals that we were going to vote for, they don't have the background. They don't have the accomplishments. And so it's hard. I mean, I'm not saying they couldn't lead companies to victory. I'm just saying it's hard to believe that these individuals that don't have the proper backgrounds and accomplishments will lead you to bigger money and bigger victories, bigger partnerships over people that are established, that do have the victories. They do have the accolades. They have been here before. They've sat in the hard negotiations. In Ripple, in XRP, you have all of those things. Brad Garlinghouse, David Schwartz, Rosie Rios. I mean, we can keep going. They have members on the Faster Payments Council, members on the Digital Euro Association. I mean, we can keep going on and on. They're second to none as far as the minds behind XRP, pushing XRP to be what it can become, a world reserve currency. Hopefully that happens one day. I really do. And I believe that who knows what's going to happen in the future. I mean, understand that while we look at the next 5 years, and some people are even looking into the next 10 years as far as what they can bring out of XRP, that this will go on much longer than that. So there's no telling what the future may hold. I believe there's a grand, bright future for Ripple and XRP. As I said before, I see XRP as like a new version of the SDR, and I see Ripple as being a possible future supervisory entity or bank. Simple as that. They can bring something in. They can have an offering where they have a wing of Ripple that is just a bank or something like that, and they can have independent parts moving around, like just the regular hub of Ripple can just remain doing what it does, but they can also have Ripple Bank. I mean, they can have so many different things going on, and we've been considering this over the last few months. This is huge when you think about the money that can come later on, and the part that Ripple plays has a direct correlation to how much money will come in the future. If they're a supervisory entity and everybody's coming to them, all the central banks have to ask them, not ask them, but come to them when it comes to liquidity, right? You have the liquidity hub, pooling liquidity together. Ripple's going to have a lot of power in how that goes up, how that moves forward. That's a lot of power to have, which means you're going to be able to direct individuals. Okay, this payment can go here, this payment can go there. Ripple is in control of all of these different things, which means that regulations when it comes to that, or rules, laws, on every level, Ripple will be involved with that. Now, if you have XRP and Ripple getting involved with governments, and don't worry, we're going to get to the article, but getting involved with governments, that brings even more power, because Ripple is the biggest lobbyer in crypto right now. You can look all of this up, do your own research. Ripple is the biggest lobbyer in crypto now, which means what? It means I don't expect them to take a step back. They're actually going to take a step forward, and they'll do even more lobbying in the future. So the money's only going to increase. So their ties with the government is only going to grow from here, when they're already in deep with many of the governmental officials. Like I said, they're on a Faster Payments Council. This is huge. XRP is huge, life-changing, wealth at hand now. No guarantees, of course not. And I'm not trying to tell you to buy XRP or sell XRP. Means nothing to me. That leads me into another thing very quickly. Let me just, on a side note, I've said this many times on the channel. Be careful of scammers. Be careful. I don't have a WhatsApp. I don't have a Telegram. I definitely don't have time to advise people on to do this or that. I would never ask anybody for their crypto keys. I don't benefit from other people when it comes to crypto whatsoever. I know what I do what I do, okay? So don't believe these scammers. Be careful of these scammers in the comment sections on Twitter. Not just when it comes to me, they're taking everybody's identities, even crypto companies. I saw, was it Hedera or VeChain had to issue statements recently. We saw Ripple issue statements last week. Be careful of these scammers. Your keys, your crypto. You have to protect your keys, protect your crypto. So, I mean, I can't tell you what to do, but I personally would never give anybody my keys to my crypto. And I would never ask anybody for their keys to their crypto or to contact me or anything. I'm not on any of those social media. I'm on Twitter, and I only really get on Twitter just to look at articles, PDFs from some of the central banks, things like that. That's mostly what I get on Twitter for. So I really don't even retweet. That's it. And then I'm here on YouTube. Okay. So be careful of the scammers. Now let's get into this article here. And this is what it says from David Schwartz. It says, the traditional payments infrastructure is slow, costly, and resource intensive. We all know this. Merchants and retailers accepting credit and debit card payments are kept waiting for credit card companies to pay them for each transaction, which is another thing that's mind-blowing and why I expect XRP to explode when there's mass adoption, which I believe will coincide with regulatory clarity. When there's regulatory clarity, all of these companies are going to shirk the old system. It's been hurting them. It's been killing them. They need a way to bring in capital and not lose a massive amount of capital at the same time. What does it make sense for me to make $1, but I'm losing 50 cents out of that dollar? What sense does it make for me to make $1, but I'm losing 75 cents out of that dollar? This is what intermediaries do. And so when they're using something like RippleNet, Xcurrent, XRapid, Liquidity Hub, all of these fantastic offerings that Ripple has to offer, which are based around XRP, let's make that clear. They are benefiting in every way possible in ways that they couldn't possibly have benefited by before XRP. Okay, so this is why the bank coins are so delicious to them, and so much money will be flowing. I think it's actually bigger than what we anticipate, but we will see in the future. But this is why the money is going to be so big coming across offerings like XRP, Algorand, and then look at the circulating supply on something like Algorand. Then you'll understand why it went parabolic last year. People made a ton of money off of Algorand last year. It's going to be easy with mass adoption to see how Algorand is going to explode. This is why people love Algorand, because they're going to make a ton of money. Keep in mind, when we're talking about these crypto, XRP, Algorand, we're not married to them. We're not married to those blockchains or companies. We're here to make money, and we want all that money. Algorand is going to explode so easily, it's not even funny. Look at the circulating supply and look how it just exploded off of retail alone last year. Imagine when all the businesses step in, banks step in, government step in. Then think about where that price can go when you're talking about Algorand. Hedera, same thing. Cello, same thing. Cello has a pretty good circulating supply. It's not that high for a bank coin. Look at the volatility in Cello. Cello now, what like 89 cents, 80 cents. Then it went to like $8 last year, $10, something like that. It just shot up like that. Imagine you bought Cello at 80 cents, then it went up to $8, $10. Think about that. You're taking a fantastic profit. So we also have to keep that in mind too. Where did they go before? And where are they now? And especially for people who want to buy in now. I feel like I have a good amount of everything, but some people don't feel that way, right? So then you know that there's the possibility that it could go back to that point. Now you have calculations on how much money you could possibly make based upon what you just purchased, right? I mean, based on the price at which you just purchased that particular asset. So you have that as well. But understand that the price that it was at before, the all-time high that it was at before, let's just take something like Quant, which was north of $400 for its all-time high last year. I think it reached its all-time high in December last year, right? Over $400. Now Quant is like $58, $55. It had went down to like $41 at one point, I believe. So, but that all-time high was before mass adoption. That's before all the banks step in with Quant. That's before all the businesses step in with Quant. So if only off of retail alone, Quant went to 400 at its all-time high. Cello went to $8, $10 off his all-time high. Imagine where those prices are going to go with mass adoption. Now, let me add in this caveat. Keep in mind, that when they're talking about, all of these crypto going away and crypto is bad and Bank of International Settlements is having that I told you so moment, things of that nature, speaking ill about crypto, they're not talking about the bank coins. The bank coins are in a class of their own. They're a part of the new financial system. You see nothing but praise raised upon the bank coins, nothing but praise raised upon XRP, nothing but praise raised upon Algorand, etc., etc. So that tells you that they see them differently. They see them already as a new wing of the new financial system. So you can't lump them all in together. They are here to stay. That's what I want. That's the point I wanted to make with this last little piece I was talking about. The bank coins are here to stay. So they will be mass adopted, right? They will, I believe, reach their all-time high and exceed their all-time highs. I believe at some point they will blow past their all-time highs because there hasn't even been mass adoption yet. And look where they went already. So now let's get back to this article here. I hope you all strapped in. You're ready for a ride today. I'm trying to give you some good stuff here. All right. So it says anywhere from a few hours to a few days, not to mention the environmental costs associated with printing, minting, and distributing cash, which is estimated to be upwards of $13 billion annually USD. Let me pause there. This article is so potent because it touches on so many things. David Schwartz talks in levels and in degrees. Everything he says is layered, and he says it for a reason, very meticulously so. He's very much like a Riddler, right? I love to watch the Riddler channels on YouTube also. They do a great job. Very entertaining, and they have a lot of good stuff that they do uncover. David Schwartz is very much a Riddler, where he folds information into certain words. It's a multi-dimensional meaning you're supposed to take from them, right? But here, I think it's very clear. When he's talking about the cost, environmental costs, this is letting people know XRP is on board with the central bank's agenda, green agenda. Another reason that they will not be put to the side. They meet every requirement to work with the banks. The banks say we want everything to be green, all technologies to be green. Well, okay, Hedera's carbon negative. Okay, XRP is carbon neutral, moving towards being carbon negative. And it's letting the people of the world know, hey, don't be against us. Just in case they do read this article, a lot of them do. Don't be against us. We are not Bitcoin. We are not Ethereum. We are carbon neutral. We're trying to help the world, right? So even if you don't like what we do, moving fiat back and forth, or if you want to put out this erroneous argument of XRP being centralized, which is not, there is a difference between decentralized and being sufficiently decentralized. The terminology is very important. Sufficiently decentralized, okay? And really, if you go by the Bank of International Settlements, and I agree with what they say, almost no DeFi is really centralized, depending on who's providing liquidity and who has the most capital or value that they put into that liquidity. They have a lot of power. But I mean, you can go over to Bank of International Settlements website and you can read those documents yourself. Those are PDFs that you can read yourself. So it's something like you can type in a search, DeFi is not decentralized, something like that. And you're going to find some good information on that. So, but really, even if you put out that argument, you still couldn't put out the argument that XRP is harmful in any type of way. So do not include it or Algorand or Hedera in that same classification with those who are harmful to the environment for now, like Bitcoin and Ethereum. And like I said, I have no problem with Bitcoin and Ethereum. I don't hold any Bitcoin or Ethereum. They're not projects that I have taken a liking to. I do believe that they're going to explode in the future. I do. They have a couple of good runs left in them. I think Bitcoin a little bit more than Ethereum, unless Ethereum takes drastic measures that would change things. And they're saying that they are, but I would rather see the actions manifesting instead of just word of mouth. Okay, but it's just one thing to say something, another to do it. Bitcoin, on the other hand, it has too many big eyes on it, and they want it to go to a high price. They want it to be the new gold because it's gold that they hold and they control. As opposed to gold that you pay for, but someone else is holding your brick of gold. That, I wouldn't like that. A lot of people don't like that. I want my own stuff. So with Bitcoin, it can be digital gold, and yet you are holding your own key. So you're in charge of that gold brick, so to speak. That is much more tasty, and it can be worth so much more money, right? So, I also like to dispel the myth that gold it just retains this certain amount of value. They're mining gold all the time. All right. And the mining of gold is only going to increase because you have countries that want to peg their fiat to gold now for a lot of reasons. You and I both know some of those reasons. We're not going to discuss them here because, yeah, you can get in trouble discussing those things on YouTube. But because more countries are looking to hold more gold or peg their fiat to gold, more gold is going to be mined. And we all know that the rarity of a thing increases its value. So the more that you have of it, the more that value will decrease. I mean, that's just logical. So this is a tremendous little article here. Let's continue on here. I have so many thoughts. I'm trying to give you everything that I've got here. It says, when it comes to cross-border payments, the current system is even more painful for both sender and receiver. Tying up capital in destination markets to pre-fund accounts. We've heard about that 1,000 times. Let's continue on. Taking multiple days for a transaction to process with no visibility as to the status of the transaction. That is key. And I was saying this all the time. I'm David Schwartz. Thank you, sir. Thank you for corroborating what I've been saying this whole time. There was a panel with the Atlantic Council. There were a lot of esteemed members on that particular board. Also, there was a representative from Ripple on that same panel, and they were discussing testing out. One of the members of that panel, I forget which one, my apologies, tested out sending their fiat using some of the traditional cross-border means. And it was terrible. You don't know where your money's going. It took forever. And the intermediary fees were insane, unbelievable. But the worst part is you don't know where your money is in transition. That is unthinkable. It's uncomfortable. It's harsh psychologically to individuals, a lot of individuals out there. Not everybody is of the same mental strength, right? It is terrible, especially if you're a business. Businesses do not have money to waste. They don't. So they need to know where their money is at all times. When you're dealing with XRP, this is why they're going to snap XRP up. I'm telling you now, you already heard SBI Remit. SBI Remit, SBI Africa say they're on the sidelines waiting for the end of the SEC case. I anticipate when that case has its desired conclusion, as SBI put it, they're going to be snapping. People are going to be, not people, sorry about that, because it's probably not going to be retail. Businesses and banks are going to be snapping up XRP. I feel that way. I could be completely wrong. But they're on the side for a reason, which means that when that case is over, they won't be on the side anymore. What does it do to XRP's price when they're not on the side anymore? You read the article for yourself. That's why I love being a promoter of do your own research. I don't need you to be dependent on me. I need you to see the vision that's coming so you can help yourself, right? So you read the article yourself. They're not going to be on the sidelines after the XRP case. SBI has a lot of money that's flowing through it. And they seem to be in love with XRP. What does it do to that price when you have SBI Japan utilizing XRP for a vast amount of different transactions? What does it do to that price when you have SBI Africa using XRP for a vast amount of transactions? What does this do to that price when you have SBI in India using XRP for a massive amount of transactions? It's going to do something to that price. I think it's illogical to think otherwise. So, I could just go on. I love this article. I could just go on and on with this article here. But I want to just show you this. Another reason why this is so delicious to SBI and institutions that are like SBI, and why one of the many reasons, XRP's price is going to explode. Right here, this is on an article that was done on Cointelegraph. This is from April 28th, 2021, and it says SBI's total pre-tax profit from its crypto business surged above $174 million in the past fiscal year. Look at the money that they made. Now, just imagine what they're going to make if they're heavily invested. They already are proclaiming their love for XRP. They're heavily invested in XRP at some point. Like they said, SBI Africa's on the side. So they want to make more money. They know that mass adoption hasn't happened. They know that the banks are going to step in. So you tell me how much XRP you think they're going to buy when they're not sitting on the side anymore. Right? Okay. Look how much money they made before all of the other things that I said, all the catalysts that I just stated happened. They know that that's going to easily double or triple. And that's on the conservative end, in my opinion. Because when mass adoption happens, when we're talking about XRP, mass adoption, that means the banks. That means the big businesses. That means B2B. I don't worry about C2C. Even though C2C is delicious as well, we want that money too. Person to person, P2P, customer to customer, sure. But B2B is where the big money begins. They know that can triple, double, or triple. They're going to go in heavy, in my humble opinion. So they've already tasted the profits from crypto, like a lot of people have. That's another thing. Never underestimate the power of people to come back into crypto. They've tasted heavy profits. They know it can happen. They know it's there. Now, most of crypto will be eradicated. The SEC already let that be known. I think that's logical. Most of crypto is just a bunch of scams and useless coins. We don't have time or money, or patience for things like that, right? We need to make smart moves. SEC will eradicate them. We don't even invest in those types of things. So where is all that money that has had a taste of the big money that crypto can bring going to go? It's going to go into the regulated coins, the compliant coins, which are what at this particular time? I'm just going to name a few. XLM, Algorand, XRP, Cello, Hedera. Quant is in there. It's ISO compliant. IOTA is in there, even though that's not something I cover. You got other YouTube channels that specialize in IOTA, right? XDC is in there. I'm trying to think, am I forgetting any of them? Did I say Cello? Cello is in there. Money's going to flow into the compliant coins. And I would say they better, look, if people were to get in early, that's the time to get in, because once those coins go up, I think it's going to be pretty hard to bring them back down. What you're going to see is a lot of these, in my humble opinion, the price is going up like what you saw in the stock market as the stock market grew over the years. If you look in this early time period, right, and how it grew, and now you have stocks that start off at a low price, they come to a high price, and they sort of level out at that high price. They never really break below too low of a price. And I think that's what's going to happen with a lot of these bank coins. They're going to go up to a very high price. You're going to have just the tiniest bit of volatility, because they will be very expensive for most people. Most people, I think, in the world, and whether it's crypto or in the stock market, I've seen this. I've been in plenty of comment sections. They like to buy at a low price, and they don't do anything otherwise. So they love dollar stocks. They love the penny stocks, things that's below $1, around $1. They love that. Most of the people are in that. They're not in these high price stocks. I know some of you are probably deep in high price stocks, but that's not everybody. Most people want to get into cryptos that are like at a few cents, a few dollars. They don't really want to get into something where it's like $30. XRP goes to $20. That eliminates a whole lot of people. They look at that as expensive, especially take into account now the state of the world. The world has not been doing well economically. And it looks like a lot of the fiats, well, not looks like, a lot of the fiats have been damaged. A lot of the fiats have been weak. You look at the euro, was only a few cents. This was about a couple weeks back. The euro was only a few cents worth a few cents more than the US dollar, the euro. That's not a good sign. The ruble is looking strong. I forget what the pound was doing, but they're all sort of in this volatile state, and they are decreasing in value. So let's continue right here. So let's take a look at this here. This is from insiderintelligence.com. I just want to show you some of the money flowing through some of these banks that I believe most of the banks will be working with the bank coins of various bank coins to some degree in the future. I believe that with all of my mental capacity. But let's just look at some of the money and value in assets. We're going to look at the value in assets because most assets will be tokenized. They will be tokenized. And who are they going to trust with tokenizing assets more than the assets that banks themselves trust, more than the assets that central banks trust? There is none. They're going to trust the bank coins because the central banks will say, hey, they're trusted. The commercial banks will say, hey, we trust XRP. Hey, we trust Algorand. And other businesses will trust them as well. So I think that most things that are tokenized will move across the bank coins. So let's take a look at some of these assets. So JP Morgan Chase, $2.87 trillion. Now you might say to yourself, well, JP Morgan was trying to come out with their own coin, things of that nature. What we're doing here is just getting the idea of how much money is coming out of these banks. Not money, sorry about that. How much value and assets these banks have. So then when we hear banks, you don't necessarily, unless you want to, have to look up their financials like I do, look up their quarterlies like I do. You may not want to do that, but it gives you an idea that these banks have trillions of dollars they're moving. Average of like the top 15 of them, top 20. So for instance, this comes in handy when you're thinking about, like, let's say XLM, and you look at IBM Worldwire. Then we saw the articles that came out, I believe it was in Forbes, saying IBM was bringing was like 20 of the top 50 banks. I think it was something like that. You can look it up for yourself. Something like 20 of the top 50 banks they were bringing to IBM financial offerings. And if they're doing that, I would think that part of their IBM financial offerings is obviously Worldwire. Now, there's no guarantees. They didn't directly say that, but I mean, that's a financial offering. That's their cross-border offering, which at the core of that is Stellar Protocol XLM. So, I mean, what they do in the future, they're going to have to let us know. There's no guarantees in anything, but we're looking at the facts right now. So when someone hears that, they don't necessarily have to go look up the top 20 banks. Annual financials, quarterlies. They can just remember this list here and say to themselves, yep, there's billions of dollars and trillions of dollars moving through these banks, and it's going to be good money. It's going to make that price explode. JP Morgan traced $2.8 trillion in assets. Bank of America, $2.16 trillion in assets. Wells Fargo and Company, $1.75 trillion in assets. U.S. Bank Corp, $530.5 billion in assets. Trust Financial Corporation, $488 billion. PNC Financial Services, $457.4 billion. TD Bank, $388 billion. I think these are just, I think this is the US list, so forgive me. I probably will do another one with all the banks in the world, and we can get a better idea internationally what these their total assets and the total value in assets is, okay, worldwide. PNC Financial Services, $457 billion. Oh, maybe I said that one already. My apologies. Capital One, $360 billion. Bank of New York Mellon Corp, $349 billion. Now, something else I'm going to say when it comes to, let's say, liquidity, and we're talking about the liquidity, the liquidity when it comes to the Fed and SDRs, right? Every central bank holds some SDRs just in case for liquidity. They can liquidate SDRs at any time. That's special drawing rights issued by the IMF, which is pegged to gold. One SDR, which is known as paper gold, is worth 0.88 grams of gold. The more I say it in these videos, because some people may be quick learners and they're saying, Alphanim, you repeat certain things. It's so that others can learn. Okay. Some people learn by repetition. That's why you have the old saying, repetition is the mother of learning. I'm trying to help people learn here, and they're going to become powerful. And I hope they become wealthy. So 0.88 grams of gold. However, they very rarely liquidate. It's not because they don't need liquidity. It's not. And that's a very interesting thing too. It's not because they don't need liquidity, because think about this. They could have used that liquidity at a time when they, well, not at a time. United States is in deep debt. They don't really need to print more money, but they've been printing excess money this entire time, which is why we're in this one of the reasons why we're in this inflationary period, the overprinting of money. But I believe there are certain ways they could have used that liquidity of the SDRs. I'm not sure why they didn't. I have my thoughts, but I don't want to put them out there just yet. But imagine you don't want to use SDRs for whatever reason, and you had Ripple there as far as their liquidity. They act as, to some capacity, working with the federal government. Maybe they attach the Fed with the liquidity hub, which I think is definitely possible. Although the Fed, as I said before, and thanks to one of our esteemed members, one of the members brought this to me. I did not discover this. There's a company, Cypherium, which is a blockchain company. Cypherium is working with is working with the Fed right now. So it's already set the precedent that the Fed can and will work with blockchain companies, right? So once again, thank you to that member for bringing that to everyone's attention. But yes, so that precedent is already set. So they can work with someone like Ripple or Algorand, which I believe that in the future that may happen to some capacity. Now, Ripple can provide liquidity. Ripple can provide agnostic bridge currency for them, depending on what they want to do, especially when you're talking about interbank payments, things like that. Internationally, who knows? But if you don't want to use SDRs, wouldn't it be great if you could use the liquidity cushion of XRP? Think about that. An XRP liquidity pool for the Fed, which is just like the SDR. SDR is a liquidity cushion. XRP is a liquidity cushion. But if you don't want to access the SDRs for whatever reason, maybe you don't want to give that power to the IMF. Maybe, I don't know. You can always use the liquidity cushion of XRP for anything that may come, right? And the Fed has a bevy of reasons why they might want to use something like that. Like I said, they hold SDRs for that very same reason, right? Which if they had enough liquidity, maybe they could use some of that liquidity to chop down some of the debt. I don't think they will do that. They haven't done it yet, right? But in an alternate universe, maybe they could use some of that liquidity to chop down debt. But what I'm saying is I believe that Ripple could work with the Fed. I think they will work with a lot of states. But right now, Algorand is dominating when it comes to having meetings with the states. You see what they're doing in Florida. Stellar also. You saw the attraction that Texas had with the idea of Stellar and XLM and wanting to be in contact with Denell Dixon after that meeting with the government. You saw that, right? That was a literal video. So those two companies, Stellar and Algorand, are dominating when it comes to states. However, when it comes to federal government, well, Algorand is there too as well. But Ripple is in there also very deeply. They've sat in a lot of meetings. We've seen this. They've been on a lot of panels also openly. A lot of people watch those. They've sat on a lot of panels with the federal government. They have 2 members on the Faster Payments Council. So, I mean, I have so many tabs open. I would love to do more. I don't know why. I know a lot of people, they don't like to watch the longer videos, but you don't have to watch the entire video. Like I have sections, right? And a lot of times I try to put in chapters so that you could jump around. So please always watch the video support. Those numbers really matter to keeping it. There's so many things on YouTube that keep the channels alive, man. It's a little complicated, and it keeps the channel growing. But yeah, views are one of the things that does it. So I hope people enjoyed this video. Now that you have that information, what are you going to do with it? I know what I'm going to do with it. So until next time, let's get to the money.